Yeah,
Boom!
ladies
Yeah!
and gents, it's Friday. Hey, you remember this thing that you have in the front of your house? This box, right? And then like mail gets dropped into it? Yeah, it's coming back with a vengeance. And today's guest, we're going to have some fun talking about how snail mail is going into the digital age. So let's get this thing rocking and rolling. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business and social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. Yeah, all right, all you business pros out there. Before we jump into the show, just a quick reminder to please subscribe on whichever platform it is that you're listening to us on today. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, drop a review, help other like-minded business owners find value from our awesome guests while we rise up in those podcast rankings. We'll sincerely appreciate every single one of you for it. And if you want to be a guest on the show, we'd love to have you on to learn from you as well. Go to www.businessbros.biz, schedule your time, and don't forget to follow us on all our social medias at Business Bros Pod. All right, everybody, we're so excited and honored to bring another incredible guest to the Business Bros Pod. Today's guest is kicking it old school, not just with his music choice, and he's here to explain how you can stand out in a noisy world by surprising your customers. Our guest is a champion for differentiation, and in this digital age we're living in, sometimes we need to be contrarians and go analog. What? That sounds crazy, am I right? Our guest is combining today's automation technology with old school direct mail and postcard marketing, and his success history includes multiple 8- and 9-figure businesses that were not just built, but successfully exited for profit. If you are in e-commerce and you want to get your business into people's homes, not just their inboxes, you won't want to miss a minute of what our guest has to share. Joining us today from AutoAnything and Postpilot, right here in our beautiful hometown of San Diego, welcome to the show, Michael Epstein!
Woo! All right. Hey, by the way, song choice was good. I mean,
song choice is excellent. But I was thinking though that the last time that we were like talking about snail mail and mailboxes and you know all this stuff is when that song was playing, bro.
When we watched it on MTV, right?
Right.
Good point. Man, that was the best intro I've ever had. Love it.
Thank you. I have one skill.
I got one job and I did it right. All right, Michael, let's get into this, man. The other day I had an appointment. I was meeting a former guest, Hayato Nakamura. He does lead control media. We were meeting at Starbucks. I got there a little early to consume the minutes that I was going to be waiting for him, I sat there and I was unsubscribing to all the emails that I got over that Thanksgiving break, right? I mean, hundreds. And we have kind of this relationship with our email where we used to have a similar relationship with our snail mail. And now I'm getting less and less snail mail, more and more email. What did you do? What happened? What's going on here? Why go back to the snail mail?
You just couldn't have put it any better in that the world is just flipped, right? It used to be that the mailbox was where all the junk mail went, and the email inbox was where only the important messages from your close friends were sent. And now obviously that's totally flipped, right? So you got 140 plus emails a day on average in your inbox. You're ignoring and deleting most of them. And to be clear, I come from digital marketing background. I've been in e-commerce for over 20 years. I'm a huge proponent of performance marketing and digital marketing. At the same time, I realized that 80% of the customers that we had just aren't reading or engaging with our emails. You're lucky to get a 20% open rate these days. So how else do you reach them? We know that we've got all these customers and this money on the table waiting to, bring these customers back and get them buying from us again. But how do you reach them? And direct mail has just been a strategy that I've used throughout my career again, running these 8 and 9 figure online retailers with success, but it was just painful. It was clunky. It was hard. It was importing and exporting spreadsheets. It was finding a print house. It was sending a giant batch of cards to people and then trying to use more spreadsheets to figure out what the return was on that. We just wanted to make it as simple as possible, as easy to create and segment and target and track ROI as sending an email campaign. So that's what we set out to do.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the difference between the two, because one of my very first business ventures, RIP PC Cruisers, James, remember back in the day, we used penny saver campaigns, and we would deliver, our marketing messaging via mail, right? That was the way it worked. And the thing about those types of campaigns where I could pick a zip code or certain areas of town, but it wasn't really as targeted demographically speaking, other than maybe where a general area was, as I could in the digital space. And this is one of the reasons why we moved over to pay-per-click, why we went to Facebook ads, Google ads, and all that stuff. But now the organic reach on social media sucks. The cost per click for each of these types of like the paid ad stuff is going up. We're not getting as much value as we have. But the demographics are and even the demographics are starting to go away in some of these ad campaigns.
Exactly.
So help me weigh the two. And why, aside from sending stuff out, how targeted can I get with a lot of these mail campaigns?
Yeah, so we natively integrate with your e-commerce store. So we can segment based on user behavior and attributes the way you'd say segment an email campaign. We can say you bought product X, but you didn't buy product Y within 30 days. We're going to fire off an offer for 10% off product Y if you come back and get that now. You bought 3 times and then you haven't bought again in the last 60 days. How are we going to get you back? We're going to trigger a campaign to go out, a one-to-one personalized campaign to go out as soon as you meet that criteria, just like an automated email flow, using all the same sort of segmentation you might be familiar with from your email campaigns. And you're exactly right. Like the CPCs are going through the roof. Customer acquisition cost on social is going way up. And now you layer on the iOS updates, and that takes even more of that targeting, to your point, out of your hands and out of your control. So this is a way to really target your customers based on those precise attributes and behavior, and get them to come back over and over again.
So let's clarify this. We're not saying ditch digital and go analog, right? We're not saying that. We're saying now it's, we've gone from, we left mail, we went to digital. Now it's time to use the power of both. So if I heard you correctly, I'm not really just sending mail to a general zip code or anything. These are people who have shown interest in my business. This is another way, a different touch point where you might capture their attention and nurture or enhance a relationship that you already have. Am I hearing you correctly?
You're exactly right. So these are primarily sent to your existing customers when they don't take the action that you're looking to take, and it complements your digital marketing efforts. Certainly not saying abandon email, abandon search ads, abandon social ads. It's a complementary product that enhances the performance across all of your touch points. So studies have also shown, to your point, that when customers are engaged across multiple touch points, offline and online, the overall AOV and their LTV goes up by over 25%. Plus, you're engaging them in places where they're just not engaging otherwise. You could segment your customers to say, only send these cards to those folks that haven't engaged with my email campaign. So if you're hitting them with email and they're engaging there, great. But for the 80+% of folks that just aren't doing that, how else are you going to reach them? How else are you going to keep them coming back? And that's where profits come from. It's not on that first purchase, because to your point, as customer acquisition costs just keep going up, a lot of businesses make little to no money on that first purchase after factoring in all their costs. The profits come from getting that customer to come back the second time and the third time after you've paid to acquire them.
So what are you putting on?
60% of the time, it works every time.
Almost every time,
Love
right?
it.
Well, I mean, and you're right in the fact that when you are going after a particular client, when they showed interest the first time, usually it's going to take a few times, right? It's going to take a few views, a few interactions for them to be like, okay, I'm ready. It's time to buy. It reminds me of I do push-ups in the morning, right? and I would do them on the floor. And then I saw this thing show up on my Instagram, and it's like you can adjust the little it's got like holes and little handles or whatever. You can adjust the different types. And I was like, ooh, that's cool. But I didn't buy it. And then I saw it again. I'm like, ooh, that's cool. And I didn't buy it. I must have seen that ad in, multiple platforms, obviously. I must have seen that ad maybe like 7 or 8 times before I finally was like, okay, you've twisted my arm enough. I'm buying this thing. So totally. if that's how it works digitally, what are we putting into these campaigns when we're sending them out? Is it just discount, or are we sending them back to a funnel? Like, what is the objective usually when we're sending out the mail campaigns?
Sure. Usually it's when they just haven't come back and buy. So some of the most common customers that we have, particularly on the e-commerce side, are consumable type products like supplements and cosmetics and other food products and even apparel and other things that lend themselves to customers coming back and repurchasing over time. But if they don't buy when you expect them to, say, for example, they bought your supplements and that's a 30 or 60 day supply and you don't see them again after 30 or 60 days, you need to get them back on track. And the longer you wait, the more recency, the less recent they are, the lower likelihood you are of keeping them engaged and keeping them coming back. So if you can make sure that you're hitting them and getting your message in front of them at a time where they haven't come back and made the purchase that you expected them to, that's hugely profitable and hugely effective. We see tremendous ROI on those kinds of campaigns.
All right, Michael, you got me convinced. Okay, I should be using some postage in my campaign. That's cool. But here's my problem. I'm not very organized, right? I'm already using a CRM for capturing some information. I'm using a POS or some sort of payment gateway for processing stuff. I got a spreadsheet or somewhere where I'm keeping track of all my emails and physical addresses and who I've contacted and where. Like, can you help simplify it at least? Like, how can I make this process a lot easier so I'm not running around like a chicken with my head cut off?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we set out from the very beginning to make this process as easy and frictionless as possible. If you know how to send an email campaign, you can send a postcard campaign. It's super simple. It natively integrates with your e-commerce platform like Shopify. So all the data is right there. You can segment it. It integrates with Klaviyo and other applications. You can use the same segments you might have set up in those tools. You can just repurpose the creative that you've done. And if you still need help, this was something that we rolled out fairly recently. We have concierge campaign service and design service because we know how busy folks are. And as much as they want to do this and as much as they are excited about testing this out, it's exactly what you said. You've just got a lot on your plate. So we will do the whole thing for you. We'll create the segmentation based on what we know works well. We have professional designers on staff that will actually build a card. And it's not like these garbage looking designs that you get from like overseas. This is like a professional design team that is going to really give you something that looks really good. And essentially all you have to do is give the thumbs up. We're going to show you what's ready to go. You're going to give the thumbs up and we're going to fire it off and start that campaign for you. And then you're just going to watch the orders come in.
All right, let's talk about cost, right? One of the reasons why we loved moving to CPC was because that cost was so minimal. I could reach, I could have 1,000 people as far as an impression is concerned and pay, pennies for those types of impressions. And I know postage costs. So overall as a service, let's talk money about this. How does it work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the interesting thing is it's gotten to the point where it's less than the cost of a click in most cases. So it's 49 cents. It starts at 49 cents to send out a card. That's all in pricing. So the printing, the postage, everything included. And so again, you're paying kind of less than the cost of a click. And we're not suggesting that you go out and blanket everybody with it. You think about it in terms of cost per click. To your point, you don't want a bunch of randos like clicking your ads that are completely irrelevant and running up your cost. That's why the segmentation is such an important capability that we have, and that's so unique to our platform. We can make sure that we're dialing in that audience and going to only send it to the folks that we know are going to generate a good ROI, and that's why we see such great results with the campaigns.
Oh wait, so hold up. So back to my PC Cruisers day, I had to buy by the 1,000, right? I had to mail out by the 1,000. Same thing with paid ads, like, right? You have to have a mandatory budget, but you're getting charged per click or you're getting charged per 1,000 impressions, whatever it's going to be. I'm not doing that anymore.
So you could literally send one card and we can automate one card to go out with personalization dynamically added to that card. As large or small a segment as makes sense for your business and that particular campaign is how many you send. There's no minimum commitment. You don't have to send thousands at a time. And in fact, we don't want you to send thousands just to a big, broad audience. We want to break it up and say, let's see how the 30 to 60 day customers perform and the 60 to 90 day customers perform and the 90 to 100 to 120 day customers perform. We'll track that. You can see your results directly in the dashboard because we know when those cards have landed. We know when those customers go on to make another purchase, whether or not they use a coupon code to make that purchase. And then we can show you the results and then we can keep dialing it in to say, we're going to keep sending to the folks that we know respond really well to this.
Hold up, this keeps getting better and better. So you're saying I can send one card. It can be customized to that particular client, meaning I could put their name on it if I wanted to individually.
Exactly.
And I'm able to track like what cards, my ROI in spend. Like if I send it to him, I'll know exactly when it comes back. Are you using things like what, QR codes? What's with the robotic tech? Like how are we making and being able to track this snail mail when in the past I'd be happy to get like, a couple phone calls.
Exactly. Totally right. So one, we know, yes, you can send as little as one card. It can be triggered automatically, or you can send a campaign to a specific audience at once. And then because we know when that card went out, because we know when that card was expected to land in that person's mailbox, and because we're integrated with your e-commerce store, we know if that customer goes on to make another purchase, we can track that back to knowing that they received the card and went on to make the purchase. We can do that by just knowing that they received the card and made a purchase. And we can track things like coupon codes. We can track things like QR codes, which tons of our customers are using on our cards, and add that to the tracking capability as well. So you'll see both how many customers who received the card went on to make a purchase and how many of those customers used a particular code or visited a particular URL.
So can this integrate with, say, could we use it like when we're generating Facebook ads within Facebook's apps? Or could we use it as, when we're in, let's say, for example, a Google keyword search, right? So somebody clicks on it, maybe fills out a form on our landing page. Could we use them and build it in that way, like integrate it into our own services? Or does it have to be some of the e-commerce sites that are already existing?
So for the postcards we have, it would integrate into your e-commerce platform. And as long as you have the address information in that customer profile, then we'd be able to target them. You could also import, if you do have a spreadsheet of customers that you've acquired from another source, you can import and use that. But we also have new technology that is handwritten card technology using robots. So it actually literally holds a pen, writes on paper in completely authentic handwriting. We can even match and digitize your very own. And that also offers the capability of a Zapier integration. So if you have another CRM or other tool, you can integrate using Zapier and fire off a personal handwritten card, handwritten envelope, real stamp on the envelope to a customer. And in that case, that's also where you would do a lot more prospecting. So in the past, where if you're a real estate agent or somebody that was sending cards out to try and get new clients based on the demographic, that's a great tool to use for that purpose, because it gets so much better engagement than just a kind of traditional mailer that they were sending to, the households in a zip code.
Dude, you're making it super, super custom. I was waiting for you to be like, yeah, the robot's going to show up to the house, knock on the door and sing you happy birthday. Like, you're getting it super custom. I mean, it's pretty damn close. Handwritten notes, like, wet ink. I remember being in high school and that's how we communicate. I didn't send a girl that I like a text message. I wrote her a little love note, right? Like, that's a lost art. There was something cool about receiving a handwritten note. Now, was it a robot that wrote it? I don't know, but it's ink on piece of paper. It just like if I see an envelope in my inbox, in my mailbox, I should say, in my mailbox that has a regular stamp on it, that has a handwritten address on it, I'm opening that up, right?
100%. It gets as close to 100% open rate as you will ever receive, because it's exactly what you said. And it goes back to what you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation. Like it is a lost art. It's something that's surprise and delight. And in these days of like digital overload, where everybody's just being bombarded by digital ads, to get something physical and tangible in the mailbox. And then if you layer on the fact that you could do it as a handwritten card with a real stamp and envelope and real ink on the paper, like 100%, darn close to 100% of the time, you are opening that, you're reading that, you're engaging with it, and you're remembering it, because an email is fleeting. A digital banner ad or a newsfeed ad is fleeting. You forget that the second you scroll past it. Somebody sends you a handwritten card in the mail, that's a business that you have a lasting relationship with.
You know, I have a 5 a.m. club, and Eric in our 5 a.m. club always recommends this strategy of thank you cards, right? Like you should be sending 3, 4, 5 thank you cards every day in the mail, just to enhance that relationship. It means so much more. You go on a listing appointment, whether you got the listing or not, you send some handwritten note thanking them for their time. You have a client, and whatever the interaction is, you send them a note. Happy birthday, you send them a note, right? Like that is again a lost art, but time consuming if you do it. That's the reason why most people don't, because it takes up so much time in their day. It's the reason why when somebody's birthday comes on Facebook, we just give them the happy birthday thumbs up or the little, the little emojis that pop up there. But to have that personal touch is huge. So if I'm setting up these automations, can I set up a campaign in advance where I have multiple touch points, multiple types of maybe, one's handwritten, maybe one's a custom postcard, all set up so that I don't have to think about it anymore? It just kind of operates on its own?
Yeah, exactly. So you could say, you hook it up to your CRM or your e-commerce store, and it's the same sort of thing. So customer makes their 5th purchase from you, or they spent over $500 with you. Imagine automatically firing off a handwritten card as a thank you note to that customer, saying, hey, just wanted to acknowledge and thank you for being such a great customer. Sign it with your name. We can even reproduce your digital signature. Like that is something that they will never forget. And they'll share it on social and they'll tell a friend about it, because it just doesn't happen like that anymore. And we love just creating those surprise and delight experiences.
You mean making people feel like people, right?
Yes.
Not so digital anymore. We're going into the metaverse, so we're going to be dealing with avatars more and more, but that handwritten person-to-person interaction is still very important. All right, well, let's talk about the business itself. Tell me, give me a little history on what that was like, coming up with this idea and like making it into a reality.
Yeah, so, again, had this experience with direct mail going in kind of my e-commerce roles for a long time. And it was just clunky, but we really believed in it and thought that it was something that if you could make it as easy as sending like an email campaign, it was something that D2C brands and just general sales folks would really want to adopt. And so myself, my business partner, who also came from the same digital background as I did, went out and found a third co-founder who had the technical co-founder, but also had family history in the print house business. And he had the same kind of vision for what this could become. And we started building this product about 4 years ago. And it's just really grown. And particularly over the last year, as we've added some of the concierge service to make it that much easier, even for our large 8- and 9-figure clients that are using us, the design service. And then you start talking about the iOS updates and things like that. And people are really looking for a way to figure out how to reach their customers. They see their email engagement going down. They see their cost per click going up. They see their targeting capabilities being kind of pulled away. That's moving to email too. The iOS update is going to make it more difficult to even see who opens and engages with your email. And this is a really cost-effective way and a really attractive way that you're seeing more and more kind of modern direct-to-consumer brands start to embrace.
So where do you see it going here in the near future? I mean, we're getting more and more into a digital space, so the interactions are going to be human, digitally human. I guess you can kind of say we're still there, but we're not there. Do you see us moving? Where do you see your company going as we enter this new Web 3.0?
Sure. I think that we want to continue to be able to identify customers that engage with our brand and figure out ways to trigger these types of experiences, these surprise and delight experiences that form lasting impressions, whether it's that they browse the website and we can identify them that way. We've captured their email address and we can track that back to their postal address and deliver a card to them that way, or even types of sending other types of material to them. So not just a card, but we think, how do we continue to provide these surprise and delight memorable experiences to customers? I think the postcards were the first way. We layered on the handwritten cards to take that kind of elevate that even further. And now we also think about, brands that want to send other kind of promotional and swag goods to folks. Like, how do we trigger that in the same sort of automated and segmented way so that we're delivering these surprise and delight experiences to our best customers?
So who is your ideal customer? Like, if you can give me your avatar of who you're targeting, what does that look like?
Sure. So it's typically a 7-figure annual business, typically $1 million and above e-commerce business that has a product or a product line that lends itself to customer attention. Look, if you have a product that someone is only going to buy once and never going to buy again, sending them a postcard and asking them to buy another time isn't going to do the trick. But if you've got a product or a product line that lends itself to repeat purchases, again, whether it's apparel to food and beverage and health products and things like that people are going to continue to buy over time, like that's kind of our sweet spot. We see consistent great returns when customers send like the win back campaigns to those their customers.
Dude, you guys are rocking and rolling. I mean, you're going to start flooding inboxes again. Where do you see, like, as you were growing your business, where did you see any hiccups or problems that you kind of had to overcome? Every entrepreneur has to go through them, right? And I always love to have our entrepreneurs share some of those stories so that we don't feel alone when we're making our own mistakes or going over our own hurdles. So what were some of the problems that you faced?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest one was just helping educate people that this existed. So I think a lot of folks were problem aware and that they know that they're not reaching 100% or anywhere near 100% of their customers through their existing channels, but they're not product aware. Like, postcards aren't necessarily the first thing that came to mind. So they weren't seeking that out as the solution. So that education has been a big thing that we've had to really do. Like, here, this is a product that exists. It's easier than you think. It's more cost effective than you might have thought. And so this is a solution for you to try. And then taking it the next step to say, okay, how do we get you comfortable with testing the waters and realizing that this is a channel that's going to work for you? And that's when we introduced, and this was, again, we've been around for several years, and it was only in the last year that we've introduced this concierge campaign and design service, because we were seeing people would get very excited about the technology and like, oh, I want to do it. And then they just wouldn't do it. And it's always because this thing came up, or my graphic designer wasn't available, or I couldn't get the asset or something like that. As easy as we make it to design a card, it was still just a little bit of friction. And so we just said, you know what? Let us just take it off your hands. We will do it all for you. Hand it to you. You will sign off on it before anything happens. And we'll, in some cases, we'll even send the first campaign for you completely free, because we're that confident it'll work for you. We'll send your first 500 cards for free, show you that it works, design the card for you. You basically can be hands off. You just watch the orders come in, because we know that you're going to be happy with it. And then we know you're going to keep sending it over and over again.
Ladies and gents, done for you. Done for you. Like, that is the key. James and I keep talking about this in the insurance agency. Like, how do we get insurance agents to grow? How do we help them do it? And every time we go back to the same answer: take the work out of their hands, take the work out of their hands, take the work out of their hands. It's too complicated. We as humans in the digital age are lazy and we don't want to work. Take the work out of their hands and you have a winning solution. It sounds like you got that. Michael, if people want to get a hold of you, if they're ready to take action and start putting a campaign together that might have a better return on investment than they've seen in the past, how can they get a hold of you?
Sure. Go to postpilot.com. You can email me if you want to talk postcards, you want to talk digital marketing, you want to talk SaaS, Michael@postpilot.com. You can follow me on LinkedIn with the link on the screen, and would love to connect and chat about this stuff anytime. Hook your listeners up with a good deal.
There you go. All right, ladies and gents, you know what came to my mind? It's like everything that you're creating digitally. These guys are like 3D printing all your emails and sending them out to people. Yeah. That's what they're doing. They're taking your digital and turning it into real life. But really what it comes down to is if you're like us, you love automation. Automation saves you time, energy, and money. It's a system that you put in place, right? And so once you put this thing in place, it's going to be doing the work for you. And you're not spending money on stuff that you don't know. You're only sending it to the customers who are going to buy from you, who have already bought from you, who you already have a relationship with, not just random strangers. I'm sure you could probably set up campaigns to random strangers if you want, but you want a return on investment, this is an opportunity for you to check it out. www.postpilot.com, postpilot.com, and go check it out and see what they got in store. By the way, if you want to test, you can send me a mail. I'll check it out. I'm curious to see what that looks like. Michael, thank you very much for being on the program. Really enjoyed, dude. What you got going on is amazing. You're taking things that have already existed and you're making them something new. That's always where innovation comes from, where good entrepreneurs find the meat and the success that they're looking for. Before you head out, we always love video testimonials. It's something we do. Creating content is what we do really well. So can you help me out? What was your experience like on the Business Bros podcast?
This was the most fun I've ever had on a podcast, and I loved being on it. It was the one I was looking forward to the most, and just made it super fun. Love the energy, and love you guys.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much. Hey, by the way, how many shows have you been on?
Probably 25 to 50, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Wow, you spent a lot of time behind a microphone, my friend. Sounds familiar. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Michael, thank you very much for coming on the show. We'll see you guys again next week. Enjoy your weekend and make sure you check your mail. Peace, and we're out.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.